When I first started Assassin's Creed Shadows, I realized there's a lot to learn if I'm going to be doing guides. And finally, after 100 hours, I got you guys covered. This is going to be a video jam-packed with everything you need to know to get started, a bunch of tips. Make sure you get a notepad, write some of this down, take notes so that you can lock in for when and as you play the game, and watch this later again, rewatch it to remind yourself of some of these tips as we go forward. First and foremost, I gotta say, just enjoy the game. Before we get into it, there's a lot open world content and a whole bunch of very cool ways to play if you feel like it. And today we're gonna dive into some of those things, and we're gonna make sure you enjoy. So here we go. First thing I want to discuss and talk about is, yes, there's two protagonists, and you're gonna be playing both at some point. Okay, and here you're watching a little bit of late game loadouts and things like that, but this tip right here is basically experimenting with different weapons, figuring out what you feel best with. Okay, each character has multiple weapons. You see Naoe, she's a shinobi, so she has a small katana, which is great, and then korigama, and then the tanto. Everybody will pick what they feel is best, but what I could recommend is, as you pick up different gear and you play the story, take your time and just experiment to see which one you like. Plus, they all have special abilities, points you can see right here, and perks, aka growths. We'll talk about it in a minute and we'll get into this in detail, but I just want to point that out. And the same thing with Yasuke. Both of these characters have unique weapons and different ways that they could play. He has a katana, narinaga, kanabo, a bow and arrow, and a rifle. Okay, all of these can be viable in their own ways. I've pretty much played every single one for the 100 hours, tried everything I can and experimented and had fun with it. So do that first. Okay, same thing with the skill tree. The coolest thing about the skill tree, and again, we would have to make a full video breaking all of it down, is that I can go in here and spend some points on something and then regret it, and I can hit the reset mastery button, and it's going to give me back everything in this area, not the whole skill tree, because as you can see, I have some of the things maxed out, but in the specific one that I select. And the reason this is important is because you're going to switch your weapons all the time and try out something different that fits your playstyle. And that'll be one of my first things to tell the players. Don't feel like you're obligated to try one. You're going to find what you love right away as you continue to experiment. Same thing with the gear. There's tons of gear, and I have a lot of great gear in here, armor pieces and so much more. Each of them, like I said, have these engravements that allow you to buff your character in special ways that are very unique. The one that I'm using now, and again, I have build videos on the channel, I have combat guides and more, so if you need that, go check it out. We're not going to go in depth on every single detail, but this is going to give you all the key things. But as you can see here, this one is unblockable attacks. I'm able to hit and parry unblockable attacks, and there's plenty more of different playstyles in this setup that you can put together, combinations that complement each other. Okay, so for example, fast posture attacks, it's very important to me, and I'm uninterrupted when I do attack, so that is very cool. It lets me just smash through people, basically face tanking in a way. And then you add other pieces that are complementary to the play style. This is my balance build where I can play stealthy, or I can just run and gun and smash through the match. Right, and you're going to be doing this consistently and then combining things and doing so much more that is very good for you. Same thing with these skills. Honestly, once you buff up a skill, the crazy part is right down here. Okay, I activated 80% extra damage on this weapon solely for maxing everything out. Now, I'm not using one of the skills at the moment. This skill right here, I have chose not to use because I love the other ones right now. And as you can see, I'm getting 80% damage just because I just filled it out. Okay, and of course, I'm in the late game, so I have extra points to do that with, but that is very key. Another thing to think about that is very critical and that's very difficult for people is, what should I put on? What should I pick first? what should I do? Okay, first things first, there's a samurai tree, and I believe that it is a good place to start where you can get yourself chunks of adrenaline, maybe put on a second chunk when you first start. That'll help you get started. And then there's survivability in this skill tree. And the same thing with Naoe, we're going to get into it. But right here, this right here makes it so that you counter everything. Nobody can hit you. So if you're having a hard time in the game, you can throw this on and be unkillable for a good 20 seconds. Okay, so you're gonna destroy people and control the game. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's very worth it. And then if you unlock this, what's gonna be later on, this also makes it so that every attack you do is powerful. And there's a lot of buffs in here. We have a skill tree breakdown and suggestions on each thing. But like I said, the first skill that I would put on as I go, if I get the chance to grab this, I'm going to grab it, okay? But I can do simple stuff and maybe get some health. Personally, I like DPS, so I look to buff myself in whatever possible way that the game allows me to add a buff. I'm going to do it, okay? And so that goes with weapons. Each of these weapon areas, like I say, one move attack will give you an extra buff if you buff it all the way up. Why would I want to waste and put on 5 abilities when I can have one ability do 60+% damage, right? So those are the type of things you want to think about. There are abilities in here that really can keep you alive as well and help you go forward. All right, so just figure that out and then go from there. Plenty of ways to play. Then we can go with Naoe, the same thing, her shinobi tree. This is kind of what their main play style. It's like a class, okay? And she has this stealth ability, which makes her invisible, and then you're able to just survive anything and everything, okay? That's pretty cool. Secondly, another one of her abilities is she'll knock down a couple enemies, and you're gonna be able to have a moment for yourself to survive, okay? That is awesome. And then the Tanto, this is a broken ability here where she also is unkillable for 20 seconds. And both of them have this, and it's very early on in the game. You can get the skill points to unlock that, and you should be good to go if you're having a hard time. Personally, like I said, I'd rather go for DPS and try to use my points elsewhere. But it is a strategy that you can do. And one of the biggest things that I would say if you're playing stealthy, make sure you upgrade your assassination damage, okay? Enemies have 1 health bar for the regular beginning enemies, and then they'll have 3 for more advanced enemies, and then the top tier elites have 5 bars. And when you put these up, you're able to put out more damage, as you can see. So you'll be able to one-shot most of the enemies in the game. I pretty much can one-shot anything, okay? And that's a complementary piece. And the same thing with the tools. You'll be surprised, the kunai, if you upgrade it to the max, to one-shot bosses. Not bosses, but elites that are in the map. Bosses you have to fight with a health bar and stuff. So that is critical. Then, of course, having a smoke bomb, very easy, very simple and straightforward for you to be able to dominate with it, and you're good to go. Again, we're not going to get into each skill, but the point is you know more or less what to expect. Speaking of what to expect, each character has their own playstyle. I have guides for them so you can kind of learn everything about them. But there's things like every attack has a charge attack where you're able to do extra damage. You're going to see that little spark when it's charged up. You see how the knife kind of shines? That's when it's charged up. Each animation is different. As you can see, the animation for its charge up is very different, but you're going to be able to do some great things. You start picking that up and figuring it out. Okay, these players are very unique and they have their own play styles depending on what you want to do as well. So for example, I have my kunai. Throw this, but I can also use a special ability to auto throw. For example, the smoke bombs, you guys are probably doing this where you're throwing it out to an enemy, and I am pressing the light button when I aim and throwing it to my feet, so that way I don't get caught. If I'm ever gonna get caught, I'll drop a smoke bomb and kind of back out of the area and survive. Okay, so you're capable of just surviving by doing that one little trick where you drop that smoke bomb before they can catch you. Pretty straightforward. And this goes for all her abilities. If you're gonna throw shuriken, you're able to auto throw. If you're aiming at somebody, you press light attack while you're aiming. That's pretty much it with her. There's small little tips like that that I didn't know right away, and I actually had to keep experimenting until I figured it out, and it went well. Now, for those that are parkour players, we're not going to go too deep into it, but what I can tell you guys is holding X is the easy way. Just hold the jump button, and she'll just climb anything, or she'll vault. Right? So all you got to do is just hold that button, and she'll just climb over something quickly. And if you want to drop, holding circle, which is dodge button, okay, and then you're good to go, and you can be able to dodge and take control of the game. And okay, so there's that. There's plenty of movement, and again, I have another separate guide. We're doing very focused videos about how to move, parkour, and do all the good things in the game, but I wanted to give you guys that start from there. Now we're talking about Yasuke. Similar to Naoe, he can climb too. Don't get that twisted. People are going to tell you he can't climb. Oh, he sucks. Don't believe it. Look, he's going to get up on the roof as well, just like her. Now, he's a little slower, and he's not as agile, but he can do it if he really had to. And the thing with the devs is they always have like a ladder or something high that you can easily use to climb with Yasuke, right? But that's that. He doesn't have the tools. He usually has a rifle or a bow and arrow where you can shoot. But again, using the D-pad, when you unlock the different skill trees, you're able to use bleed and poison. And a pro tip for poison, I actually use poison with an ability to be able to buff it so that it automatically causes someone to get poisoned when I headshot them. And what I do is if I can't headshot them and finish them, it'll make them throw up if they're poisoned. So you have a second shot you can do before they actually catch on and alert their teammates. It's a very fun way to use the bow and arrow. And we got guides and videos to show you combat and things like that, so pay attention to that. Speaking of combat, your abilities are on the right when you're holding R2. You can pop whatever it is that you feel you want to do. For example, I have a very cool swing around. It's kind of insane, and I have fun using it a lot just to kind of make room for myself. And the way you build it back up is attacking enemies, and then the chunks will fill up, as well as putting on different pieces of gear that can complement it and help you from there. Okay? Those are some of the things that you want to pay attention to. And then the same thing with your allies, they kind of refill as you play. And if you target an enemy and you tell the ally to go attack, you're gonna have your button holding aim and then hitting the buttons that prompt up. See on the bottom right. Those are the general breakdowns. Each character can whistle. You just press D-pad down on the PlayStation 5. That's what I'm playing on, and Xbox as well. And then I'm guessing PC is a specific button. But yeah, those are just key things to think about. You can block in this game very well, but you don't want to get staggered. So dodging is very good, and it's actually very easy to dodge and then attack right after and keep your flow going as you continue. So keep that in mind. And again, the full combat guide will be on the channel by the time this comes out. We're going to dive into, again, these abilities that help with your playstyle. Again, as you see, I talked about some of them, and one of the funny ones and the best one for the bow and arrow is this special ammo instantly triggers an affliction on a headshot. So this is where I put the poison on them. They'll start throwing up. I got a chance to shoot them twice or maybe 3 times, and then they're done. And that complements this stealth playstyle, because if I hit that, we'll be good. And again, everything goes together to synergize for the way I want to play. And that is amazing. Now we're going to go into the map. This is end game map, so I am going to spoil at least just the full map. I'm not spoiling any specific missions, but in here there's plenty of objectives, and I'm kind of showcasing some of the challenges. The orange ones are challenges where you get a skill point and some XP. A lot of them don't have any rewards besides skill points, and they're pretty straightforward. Pray at a shrine, do a little mini challenge, shoot some targets. They're simple stuff, but they're useful if you need a skill. You can run through the whole map and just get these and unlock them and make your life easier. And before we continue, I can hit the D-pad on the PlayStation to hit the legend. I'm not sure what it is on PC, but once you hit that legend, you can look around for untracked missions. Again, I don't have any spoiler ones left. I only have 2 missions left, to be honest. And then untracked targets. I pretty much took out most of the targets. Quest givers, contracts, and all of this good stuff. And I want to take a moment to look at everything just to give you an idea of what you should be expecting, right? First and foremost, the keys are very critical. This is for the battle pass, the Animus. You're able to get some things from there, and all you're going to do is run around the map and pick them up. The only way you're going to unlock these things is if you go towards an area. So just roam the map, start playing the story, and you'll slowly have areas basically unlocked as you go. There's a lot of legendary loot. It's pretty easy. They're always at a castle for the most part. You're going to end up running into a castle, completing it, and then getting the legendary loot. Hidden trails are for Naoe. You don't have to play as Naoe, I believe, but it makes life easier because most of them need her. And this is going to give you very good rewards, easy, simple stuff. This is some caves that you're going to be able to get some secret items, and they're actually pretty fun. Those two are amazing. Horse archeries are for our buddy Yasuke, as well as the kata. All of these are going to give you very good stuff. But again, if I need to go find a castle, and I do have some left here, I can go into castles, filter, and then find one that I need to do, and then just simply mark it and go to it and complete it. Right? This is the easy way for you to finish this game when it comes to skills or any resources that you need, which we're going to talk about resources in a minute, but this is very critical to get started and to get the ball rolling. I do have a guide about that stuff. Again, each of these conversations, I already have separate guides because it's so much to get into, and I'm not going to do a settings guide as well, which I already have one. But I did want to get in here and just talk about a couple of things that might actually help you in the long run. When in the gameplay section, there's difficulty. Personally, I prefer it on expert, but you guys try it on normal and then let me know what you think. Guided mode, you should turn this off because this is going to make the game more immersive. You're going to see less things on the map. But if you're having a hard time, turn it back on. When I'm doing a guide, I keep it on because I'm trying to teach and showcase things. And now that I'm finished with the game, I don't need it anymore. But that is critical, and you're going to be perfectly fine putting this on to be able to know where everything is on the map. And on top of that, there's certain little settings in here that you should think about for yourself. Like the area loot is a big one for me personally. And then interface also has some good stuff. We're going to go to customization. And in here, you can turn off a lot of the HUD. I have it on specifically for you guys so that you guys can tell where everything is. But honestly, a lot of this stuff going off makes the game feel so much better and so much easier. You gotta look through the whole guide to get in here and figure out, okay, what am I taking off? And then you'll be fine. I left most of it on so that you can see what I see when you first turn the game on. You should be good to go there. I turned up the sensitivity just a little bit to 8. I would even put it even higher. This is a third-person game and you're not shooting, nonstop. So wanting it a little bit fast is good to react, but not too fast. And I also did the same for the dead zone. Very helpful. Now, when you start the game, you're going to be able to go to the Animus, and in the Animus, you have projects. These are basically like battle passes. You have 2 of them when you start the game, and you can activate whichever reward system you want. I'm going for Naoe right now. I'm halfway through, and when I get to level 21, I will unlock her gear. But in between all that, you're getting credits that you can use to buy items. You're getting data files and other very cool things. This in-game things like this gold right here allows you to craft and really put up to something special in the game. But there's tons of stuff in here, and I already have some good ones that I'm enjoying, and there's gonna be more of these consistently because the Animus is gonna keep on putting things together as they go. Again, I have somewhat of a guide for this, but the goal is to get a lot of points. You can buy some gear, This right here, I have a build for it. I love it. Puts poison all over when I parry somebody, and I have a parry style build, so everybody's intoxicated basically. And then you could get insta kills with your posture attacks for Naoe, which is pretty fun. New one that I just bought actually. So this is how you spend your currency. Okay, you can see I'll spend all mines just for you guys. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the actual key thing in this game that you guys are going to see, and I don't want to spoil this too heavily, but this is your objective board. You have the anomalies and the rifts. You want to, anytime they pop up with an objective, you want to activate and go to them as fast as possible. Some of them are time based and things like that, but if you have never played an Assassin's Creed game, basically this is your storyboard. This is your quest, your side missions, your main missions. Right now it's telling me to go to her, help her out with something, and we're going to be doing those missions. But then there's definitely allies, there's enemies I can eliminate that I don't want to scroll down on this and spoil for you guys. But the point is follow the lead. Okay, some of them will tell you a specific direction on the map. It'll say northeast of Omi, and so you go to the map, you look northeast, which is this way, and maybe they'll be right here somewhere, and you can use your scouts. And this is a big conversation starter, so you can see how many scouts I have. I have a lot of scouts, and you're gonna need all those scouts because I still haven't cleared the map. As you can tell, there's certain areas that I haven't touched, and the map is pretty big, and there's a lot to do in the game, and the scouts help you clear the map when you're looking for somebody specific, and you can basically utilize them as a key, which we're going to talk about next. So the actual hideout, which is your main HUD, this is not a spoiler by the way, but basically you're going to unlock this. This is a big feature in the game, and it's bigger than you think, guys, and I'm rebuilding mines as we speak. But basically you're going to come here, you're able to get currency and materials from this spot because of, look at this, I got some rewards, very exciting. And on top of that, when you come to your base, all of this is stuff I put together, all these buildings, and all of these people are the people I've recruited as well. And I'm going to show you how to kind of get that started so you can see more or less how it all works. So I have all these buildings that I put in here, and they're all very different. They all have buffs and very cool things that help meet the player. And we're going to go into the menu so you can see more or less what it looks like. The stable is going to give me an extra scout. I'm sorry, it's going to allow me to tag stockpiles, which is the most important one that you're going to start off with, because in the open world is materials. You can pick up little things, but if it's a big stockpile, you have to tag it so that your scouts can pick it up. Scouts cost a lot, and that's going to be the most struggle that you're going to have, is getting scouts. Okay, so come in here, pick this stable up right away as quickly as possible, which is going to let you get stockpiles, and then from there the cost of the stockpiles can be great as well. And from here I have a guide about this hideout. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you can see there's tons of stuff. For example, upgrading your allies, there's things like upgrading your weapons, more scouts, and scouts, expanding your scouts, things like that, getting more XP in the game. These are very critical things. It's going to help you in the long run, take you to that next level. So those are the key things you want to pay attention to. And the way you do this is getting materials. You see on the top right, it's about how many materials do I have. Let's make believe I was gonna make this, and you can see how much it cost me, and I can put it anywhere, which I'm not gonna do right now, but you can put it anywhere. And that's just very cool because all these abilities are actually like a skill tree. And we're not gonna go into how you design the place. Again, I'm redoing this whole area. But as you play the game, you'll unlock a lot of different materials and very cool stuff that I don't want to keep going through. Some of this might end up being a spoiler, but that right there is how you get started. And then you have a lot of cool things inside of here. And we're not going to design it on this video, but I'll showcase it at another time. Very beautiful, easy, straightforward thing. And then, for example, I have a forger now, a blacksmith, who's going to upgrade my weapons, who's gonna put my engravements and things like that. Let's make believe I need to come in here And I have a beautiful katana that I picked up early on. It's a little low level at 30 something. I want to put it up. I'm going to click on this, which I'm not going to do right now. I don't want to waste my currency, and it'll upgrade. And then on top of that, I can go into Engrave, which this is the key to make a good build, guys. You're looking at the build that I have now. It basically can't get interrupted when I attack, and it does charge attacks faster. So when you see, I can change those engravements into something that fits my playstyle. Let's make believe I want to change it. Very cool tip here is you can change them at any time. They do cost a couple of bucks, but they're really cheap to do, and you can change it to fit whatever playstyle you like. So make sure you come in here and do it for your whole build, because it's going to give you huge buffs in the end of the day. I haven't used dismantling, but if you're really desperate for resources, you can go ahead and do that and probably get some things. It's not really worth it in my opinion. You're better off just farming materials, as we have a farming guides and showing you how to get infinite items and things like that on the channel. Super critical, super fun. And plus, by the way, in here there's like story things. They'll meet together, they want to talk with you. It's a pretty amazing setup. And don't mind the dynamic weather. They decided to make it rain because I'm raining down tips and tricks. Hopefully you're learning something as we go. We got a lot more. As I said, there's a lot more. This video right here, it was jam-packed with some beginner tips and tricks to get you going. We got a lot more stuff already on the channel as far as combat guides, settings, being able to use your hideout properly, farming methods, and much more on the channel, so you can stay locked in and enjoy the game as much as possible. Hope you had a good one on this one. Feel free to leave a comment about something you learned. Leave a like as well to showcase that YouTube algorithm. We're making it happen here on the channel. Jam-packed with everything I can offer. Hope y'all have a good one. See you on the next one. It should be popping up. Go to the channel, see more. Peace.